Hello, welcome to Scrap Time. My name's Christine, and in this video I am continuing to work on my collage sheets that I've been working on over the past few videos, and we're going to be adding some pops of color to the pages. Now, if you watched the last little video I did, I showed you how I laid out all my pages so far, and I had picked 8 that I was happy with. However, I did end up pulling them back out and just to add a little bit of contrasting color to them. This one I added some orange too. I think here was orange as well. Just these little bits of color that help make the pages pop. I think maybe some pink or that. Just go through these quickly. Some little bit of orange. So now on my other sheets, I have already added Magenta, Tangerine, Lime, and Lemon to them. I find it's best I work one color at a time and I just flip through my pages and do it like that rather than working on one page with multiple colors. So now I am using Turquoise. So what I do is I just put some down on my craft sheet. And for this, I like to use just a sponge. So I just sort of dip it in and make it like that. Now I have also pulled out some stencils, and this time I'm looking for stencils that have smaller openings than we previously used. So I just have some, I love any that have like textures like this. I have this number stencil, an old alphabet stencil, and then a couple more little texture stencils. Now, not everything's going to get stenciled, but I'll talk a bit through it as I go and why I make my decisions. But just so you know, I have some stencils standing by. So I just go through my paper. And so on this one, we did have that stamping. However, I think I could use a bit more blue over here and a bit of texture. So that's when I'll pull out a stencil. I don't really think about too much which one, and then I go back to my sponge. And the reason I like the sponge is I can just quickly put some color down and remove it, and you can see there. Now, if I want, I can use the sponge just as is and brush in a bit of color on the other side, and then I throw it to the side. And I bring up my next page. Now here I've already done some stenciling, so I don't think I'll do more, but I just want a bit of blue added. And when I do this, it's almost like if you've used like distress inks and made tags or whatever with your distress inks, it's almost giving the same thing, except now I'm using acrylic paint, which will be permanent. Now this one already has quite a bit going on, but I think I might just add a little blue over here to balance out, even though I'm not using these as the whole sheet. Then this one, it's very purple. It has some design already in it from when we used stencils on the gel plate. And because I'm putting such a thin layer of paint on here, I'm not too concerned about it drying. The other thing to talk about is a little bit of color theory. So I'm using blue. So the opposite color is orange. And when you do blue and orange together, it gives that nice contrast to make the colors pop. So I think about that sometimes as well. So I haven't been using stencils because a lot of these have already stencils on them or a texture of that, so I don't need to add more of that. The other thing I'm doing is, say here it's paper that not much paint has gone there. I've been sort of filling in a bit of that as well, just so the page has some paint on it. Another thing is whenever the paint is lighter, you know the color will show up a bit more. Or if you have like white or the lighter colors. This one is already blue, so I'm not going to add more blue to that. And if you do put a color down and you're like, oh, why did I do that? I don't really like that. Don't worry about it, because as I said, these sheets are going to end up getting cut up. So in the end, you might actually like where you put the color, or you just won't use that portion of the sheet. But by adding these colors on, it's just giving you a little bit more control. Whereas when we use the gel plate, the whole thing ends up being colored. And so you don't have the same control. So here I'm being very like, I'm thinking where I want the color and just putting it in specific spots. And you'll just work your way through. I won't make you watch me do all 92 sheets, but I just wanted to maybe address some of the questions you might have with why I choose to do it or don't do it. I'll see if I can find another one to do some stencil work. This one's so blue, I'm not putting more blue on that. Let me just flip through and I'll find one that doesn't have, so many of these I've already stenciled and added textures that, okay, I'll do this one. Again, it had the circles, but it's still a lot of paper here. It's not a lot of paint down. And that was stamping from when we had stamped right at the very beginning. So I am going to take the number stencil. And again, I just randomly put it through. And you can see it just added some texture into that spot. I might even do this one here on top. I can do the same numbers. You don't have to change your stencil every time because they're all different sheets. So you can see I don't do it as a block. I sort of go on an angle, and it just makes it more random on the sheet as you go across. Let's see. Oh, here's another one. I can do. This is great because it has so many different textures on it. And you should be able to see that even though it's sort of tonal. So hopefully that gives you some ideas for doing this next step. You just use this. Usually if I stencil, I will add a little bit of blue or like whatever color you just did on the sheet. And we're just putting color in certain areas, making these colors pop and adding more interest. So when it does come time to cut it up, you've got more going on in your little piece you're die cutting out or hand cutting, whatever it is, tearing, backgrounds. It just has more interest in your designs. Thanks for watching. Be sure to give our video a thumbs up and subscribe to Scrap Time videos on YouTube. In the meantime, here are a couple of other videos you might be interested in watching. See you next time. Bye-bye.